Welcome back to Indie Housing Market. I'm Kyle Morris with Morris Property Group and FC Tucker.
I'm Shelly Walters with FC Tucker and the Shelly Walters Realty Group. Thanks so much for joining us again today.
On our second restart after a wardrobe malfunction. I got yelled at because I started and Shelly was rolling up her sleeves and that was somehow uncalled for. But anyways, welcome back.
Thanks for giving the dirt. You know,
hey, that's what people want to know. That's what people want to know. We had to go get energy drinks just to get going because, I don't know, the weather, it's been gray, it's been wet, it's been cold.
You know, we've had 2 inches of rain in the past week. That's what they said last night.
I believe it.
And it's still raining today. It's hard to be motivated.
It just is.
It's hard.
And the weather is like, the temperature is like pivoting so bad. It's like -5 and then it's 36.
You have to have a coat in the car and a t-shirt in the car and you have to have...
an umbrella.
An umbrella, yeah. And then boots in case you're walking through the mud because I've had to do that a couple times.
Oh, yeah. It's just really weird. And so, like, you know, we've been talking about like what the market has kind of been like. And I know we're telling everybody what it's going to be like in March, and I think there's a lot of concerns because, you know, stuff's sitting on the market and average days on market is higher, although it is coming down. And both Shelly and I, in the past, for me, it's been about past 10 days. I mean, I have people coming out of the woodwork talking to me about housing again, and it seems, I mean, both of us, you know, I mean, we work year round. I mean, I know we talk it's a seasonal market here in Indianapolis, but we just both do enough volume that we are doing stuff year round. And it feels disproportionately busy right now. It feels like middle of March, quite honestly, with people who are talking to us and stuff that's upcoming. And I mean, we need the stuff on the market, but I've got a lot of buyers coming out, and it's just really
we're getting the calls for buyers. So I think this gets back to what we've talked about so many times is the pent-up demand.
Yeah.
I think this past week and a half, I've started to feel the pent-up demand. It's like, we need to buy. This time we really need to buy. We're going to get serious. And then the sellers, you know, they're ready to sell. But we'll see. But I think it's going to be April and May. We keep saying this.
It is. Well, honestly, with the current trend I'm feeling as far as like the pulse of it, I think it's going to be middle of March. I really do. I don't know why. I think we've had a very mild winter so far, outside of like maybe like what 10 days worth of really bad weather.
And I was gone, thank goodness.
Yeah, I just think it's going to hit a little bit early. I just really, really do because there is so much pent-up demand. And then what will happen is that people will try to be ahead of the spring market, right? And then some stuff is going to get gobbled up in March really, really rapidly, and people who are just kind of casually looking are going to notice how quickly things are going, and it's just going to kind of snowball within about a 2 weeks time
And that
frame.
gets back to the buyers really need to be ready and go now if they can because it's going to get competitive again. And the other thing is, like, we have a listing that we just pre-marketed, is a family home, and I would normally say, you know, March, let's just wait till March, but since there's no inventory, there's never a let's now. Wait. What to wait for. And we're kind of touched on what we were going to talk about maybe in a couple of weeks. Next week we have Sue Finkham. She'll be a really good person to talk to about what we're going to see here in Carmel under her new reign as mayor. But when we're looking at the inventory, like, so just real quick, if I say what activated in Carmel in the past 7 days there was 25, but 24 total pended. So we had a +1 inventory. In Westwood, we had a -4 inventory. 21 hit the market and 25 pended.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that. But Raquel, with her wisdom, kind of asked the question, and I love this idea, and I think we'll look at the stats in a couple weeks. Even though we have inventory coming on and it's limited, it's even more limited when there's a buyer looking for a certain kind of property.
Correct.
So, like, if you don't want a condo, and there's 2, now we only have 23.
Or if you do want a condo, there's 2.
Yeah.
And that's assuming both happen to be in your price range.
So having 25 hit the market means nothing to almost any buyer. They really want to know how many of my style of home hit the market that I want. I want a pool.
And that's
0.
probably
Next
somewhere
week,
between
0.
Yeah. It's probably between 1 and 4. I mean, like, and that's being very kind. You know, people who want, hey, I want West Carmel, right? Because lots tend to be bigger. Yeah.
The west side.
Yeah, exactly, right?
East side, west side.
You're going to get one, and it's going to be gone quick, right? Like, that's just the reality of it.
We'll do those stats. So it was kind of a good thing. Raquel brought up, she was like, well, how many houses, my house is on the market right now, it's at a mid-century vibe. Well, how many people even want that, 0? for the next 5 weeks, 0 people are even looking for something like that. So
And
it
then
goes both
one-
ways for the seller as well.
Yeah. And then one buyer will come on the market and be like, I love it, I want it, right?
Right.
And it's just
And
gone
it's, you know,
instantly.
80 days later, you're like, finally.
Yeah.
But it's hard to find that buyer. So as a seller, you need to be very aware of what your product is. I always call it a product, actually. What you have to sell, and if you have the national, you know, the traditional family home, 300 to 500, you're golden.
Yeah, it'll go quickly.
But any other weirdness that you have, pool I call weird because only about 35% of the population even wants a pool in Indiana.
Well, even then, we have one on the market right now that has a pool, and it has the most beautiful backyard and beautiful pool. It's a massive backyard, and the pool is covered.
Yes.
And it's nasty out.
Yeah.
People don't want to. I always make my clients I don't want to say that. We always actually walk the perimeter of a property line when we look at it, so you can actually feel the size from looking back towards the house, because the yard will look bigger, obviously. So, but nobody's trying to do that when the ground's muddy, right? I mean,
it just looks ugly out there.
It does.
And
So
we
I
only
mean,
get to enjoy it for 4 months out of the year if we're lucky here.
if I sold this house in June, it would have been gone in 2 days.
Right.
You know, but because of circumstances, we listed when we did, and you know, it's just kind of sitting. When, you know, as soon as it gets 60 degrees out and I can open the pool up, it'll be gone. I mean, it won't make it that long anyways, but
Yeah.
all of that stuff matters. We've been looking at quite a few houses for buyers, and I also feel like there is an interesting, I don't know, more than usual amount of houses that need some updates, upkeep, deferred maintenance. I'm seeing a lot of that for some reason right now, more than usual. Seeing a lot of stuff that has like 0 updates in 15, 20 years. I'm seeing a lot of stuff that has updates, but I've got holes in walls and doors and you know, wood rot. Now, all of that stuff is like pretty typical on a house, but when you see a lot of it, and then you see a lot of houses with a lot of it, I don't know, it just kind of gets your attention to a certain extent. And I mean, like, we're not talking about necessarily cheap houses by no means. I mean, we're talking about, you know, $350,000 houses. I mean, that's an expensive house, right?
Well, and that gets back to, is there still the mentality by agents and or sellers to go, it doesn't matter, it's going to sell.
Oh my gosh.
There's competing people out there. That market's gone.
Yeah, there's some that I see that I'm like, there's just no way I'd put the house on the market like this. Take an extra 2 weeks.
Well, you and I
extra 3
don't
weeks.
allow that.
Yeah, we
period.
wouldn't.
I mean,
We wouldn't.
updates, we're not going to make you go in and update it, but the price will reflect it. But we get back to what we both agree that is probably very important, is to do a pre-inspection so you know what is wrong with your house.
100%.
Because you have no idea. There's always a surprise. And if the buyer finds it, they may freak out and leave, and now you're starting all over, and then you're going to lose money.
So that's one of the things we were talking about, actually. So like both you and I just started doing it. You've been doing it. Is a pre-listing inspection for my sellers, because 2 things people are always worried about. So the number one thing people want to know about is, what am I going to net, right? Like, what am I going to take home? And the only 2 big wiggle areas are going to be appraisal and inspection. And so I can comp a house very well. You can comp a house very well. I can be insanely accurate on a pricing, but you know, appraisal can kind of come back a little bit high, a little bit low, whatever it may be. But you're going to be in the ballpark within, usually right on or within $5,000, we'll call it, right? So you can kind of plan around that, and then, but inspection can be really up in the air, right? So if all of a sudden, if you have a pre-listing inspection, the seller has an idea of repairs, worst case, that will be asked for, can also then know, hey, well, I'm okay with doing this amount, so if they ask for this, this, and this, we'll agree to this, this, and this. And it helps remove some of the anxiety of listing your house and have a little bit better projection of what you're going to net going into it.
And what you mean by that is, if we get a purchase agreement for $300,000 and then you do an inspection with the buyer that you have no idea what they find, and they come back with all these items that
like
they're
a chimney problem, it's going to be $10,000.
Anything that they're concerned about, they could come back and do one of 2 things. One, ask you to fix it, so
Yep.
you now know you already were sitting in the catbird seat over here going, I know I have $10,000 worth of repairs. Let's see what the buyer's going to ask for,
Yeah.
but you're prepared. But the other part is, some buyers still negotiate price. So if you thought you were going to get $300, now all of a sudden you get $294. That's because you didn't know anything until the buyer did the inspection. But if you know the inspection, now you know, okay.
You already know the number you want to be at.
You already know the number you got and what you may potentially now not net because of the items. I highly recommend, though, I get the items done. I don't care if the buyer's going to ask or not. But what if that list is just too long for them to see, because they're 60 pages long sometimes, and it's really
Yeah.
scary. But if you can knock out a lot of it for the buyer, that new, because they always get a new one anyway. They don't use your seller's one almost always. But if you can get that 35 number of items all the way down to just needs a GFI. But if you can get it down to 18, the buyer's going to be so much more comfortable. It's just going to go better.
Well, I think it sets a good tone for a transaction. I can't explain to people enough how much the tone of the transaction matters. I'll be honest, the anxiety of a seller is felt. I
Or
can't
the anger
quantify
from
it.
the seller saying,
The anger.
that's not wrong. We know that's not right. That they're wrong.
Yeah.
And then you bring in your people in later, and it's like, oh, it really is wrong. Get all that off the table before you even hit the market. And then the buyers coming into the house are, if you can provide that, because like we were talking about, I put it on the listing. Here's the inspection report. Here's everything we've done, and here's all the receipts. So now the buyer can see, well, they didn't fix this and they didn't fix this. They know what they're buying.
Yeah. And they also know you just put in, I don't know, $7,000 to fix something, $2,000,
Right.
whatever it may be, So
Yeah, you don't really want to have them see that really bad report, but at least you can show we've already done all these repairs. I don't want the buyer to see that really bad report.
I don't know. I just think, I think we're going, because in a lot of major markets, everybody does it. I mean, that's just the reality of it. But
It's part of prepping the house, in my
it is.
opinion. Just
It
getting
is.
the listing ready.
Yeah, and I've talked about it for a couple of years about whether I do it or don't do it, and I used to be kind of case specific with it, I guess, if that makes sense. And I've just turned it into, we're just going to do it for everybody. It's a service we provide, et cetera, et cetera. So,
Well, I just don't see why anybody would say no to it, because you are setting the expectations for the entire transaction of whether or not you do the inspection or the buyer does it. And if the buyer does it, we can go sideways so fast and get back on the market. And so what I talk about that is any house that's been on the market, let's just say even sold in 4 days, 5 days, if that could happen, they're going to get a good top dollar for their house.
yeah.
If they go back on the market, days on market are now showing 30 or something like that, and somebody's going to always say, what happened? They're going to assume it's inspection. So if it was listed at 300, you got 300 or 298, I guarantee you go back on the market and start all over, you may get 285.
Yeah, literally.
So that $500 for the inspection, you just lost $15,000.
Yeah, the only way to avoid that is if you have a backup offer. And backup offers
That's
are just
gone.
completely hit or miss.
Yeah, that's
So,
been a long time coming in regards to those disappearing. I remember having 2 and 3 backup offers on houses just about 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was nuts. But I don't know. That was just kind of something that we were kicking around and kind of talking about. It kind of came up organically.
Because listings are coming back.
They
People
are
calling.
coming back.
They're calling, and like I said, we just have one getting ready to pre-marketing. And that's just something to talk about too. Ask your agents to go in the pre-marketing status on the MLS, because those are things the agents can see. These are houses that are ready to go, just maybe still moving out some furniture or fixing something that they found in their inspection.
Can't buy them yet. Can't see them yet.
Can't see them, can't do anything. But if you're going to start looking at houses on Saturday, the seller, or you have your search, the agent set up for you. There's some houses out there that are called pre-market status that you can't see, but the agents can. So, have them check the pre-market status out there as well. That'll help you find some new properties that you're not quite sure exist, and then also you can be ready when they hit the market to go see those first.
Yep. I just think all these things, as they're coming up, we're going to start getting into a situation. I mean, I generally want a 3-week notice if I am listing a house.
At least.
Yeah, I mean, I really prefer more than that. 3 weeks is kind of like my worst case, because the last week is a listing week, right? You got photos and you're listing it. So that gives you like 2 weeks to really kind of mess with it.
Well, as we just talked about pre-inspection, if you did the inspection that first week, you had to get the vendors or the
'em out
contractors
there,
in there
get
and
it
get it
fixed.
fixed. 3 weeks is really pushing it. But the attitude of just,
Yeah, that's like my least.
Yeah,
is
so
what I'll
somebody
do,
wants
3
to
weeks.
list a house. They call you and say, I want to sell my house next week.
I've passed on that.
There are agents that will do it, though.
There will be. Yeah.
And I think that hurts the seller and the amount of money they're going to make, period.
Yeah, we're really big on the product that we put out. We're really big on the service that we provide. And I just know I cannot provide that same level of service if I have to do it in 7 days. It's literally impossible. There's just no way. So,
well, there are people that have to. They just got told they're moving. We got to put on the market ASAP. That you can possibly work through that, but it's not a good scenario.
it's just not. It's just not. I've only been put in that situation once, and I told them I'm probably just not the person for them. And that's okay, mainly because what it comes down to with us is I have other houses that are on this 3-week and 4-week timeline, and now you're inserted, and all of those get pushed back that I've been working with longer than I've been working with you. And so now all of a sudden I have vendors already out doing repairs on other stuff that technically is ahead of you, right? And so now all of a sudden I don't know if I can get somebody in there in 2 days to get something done because they're scheduled out for 2 weeks.
I think the main thing is putting a house on the market again and show ready. If you're needing to have the house sold or on the market within the next 7 days, I don't think you can declutter that fast.
You can't.
And that's a major proponent of actually getting the house ready is decluttering, getting your closets ready, getting everything out of the house and, boxing it up.
If you're going to be put in a situation like that, you better price correctly.
Yes.
And that's not going to be top dollar.
Price aggressive is much better. And that's where we said that your seller is going to be at a disadvantage. They're going to lose money.
They are. But with the situation that we're talking about, it's not necessarily about money there. It's about timeline, right? You don't always get the luxury of timeline and to net the most, right? So one of them has to give, and if the timeline is non-negotiable, then the other one's going to give. Yeah, that's just the reality of it.
I have a seller that's actually doing the same thing. They've built their house, they're closing, and they're getting ready to put their house on the market, and we're going in low because they don't want to have two mortgages. So
they want it gone. They want to move it.
But the thing about that is I know what's coming. Is there's going to be an agent that's not going to see that I'm seriously about 40,000 under was where we went, that is going to come in and still lowball me and or say, show me your comps, and not even understand that. That's going to be frustrating for me. Is like, don't come in and say, oh, blah, blah. We are way below where we should be for a reason, but there's going to be somebody out there that's still going to come in and say, you're too high. Yeah,
I know. I was on the other end of that, like not too long ago. Like, oh, it's underpriced, and the appraisal came back at like 1,000 over list, and I was like, well, evidently was not that under list, but
yeah, right,
not undervalued,
right,
Yeah.
So
it didn't matter. We wanted the house, so it didn't really end up mattering at the end of the day. But
that's always who your buyer is how much they like that house, what they're willing to do. But
100%. I don't think agents intentionally overprice a house.
I don't.
The only time is if a seller is generally pushing them to. That's my argument on it. Maybe, especially like 2 years ago, agents were kind of struggling to get listings and stuff. I would see people kind of like just agree to pricing just because,
want a listing under the
yeah, they've got families to feed and all that stuff. So, but at the same time, like, I just don't see it as this malicious conspiracy to overinflate prices. I just don't see it.
No, and it'll set on the market if it is because the buyers are smart. But the other thing I do, if I have a listing agent, if I have a seller who wants to list their house higher than I've said, I put it in the listing contract. I've had this long conversation setting expectations of stating, okay, I say it should be this. You say you want it to be here. My listing contract will state a specific timeline where we will start doing the price adjustments because they need to see that it's not going to sell, or we possibly get it, but then now we have an appraisal. I always say that the appraiser is going to come in and determine, and if you want to go this high and we get a seller that's super excited, I'm not seeing appraisal gap anymore right now, so you're going to come back down. But the thing about it is just as a seller, I want you to know that I'll give it a shot as long as we're not way out of line. But I want it in the contract that you agree to come where I know we need to be.
Correct.
So that you're not sitting on the market and really losing money. Because days on market lose you money.
It does.
Right now we're looking at 97 average list to sale ratio. And that's because our days on market are higher.
Yep.
I mean,
and it's coming down, so it'll get better. But
yeah, Carmel went in half.
Yeah.
In the past 30 days. So that's good. That's showing we're going into a different market.
It's always interesting, especially when people have a unique house or something like that. Oh, my house is worth this. Your house is worth what somebody's going to pay for it. Like, that's the reality of it. People, be like, oh, I put $300,000 into it and put extra insulate. That's the one I hear a lot of. Put extra insulation in the walls.
Yeah.
What? Like sweet, impossible to quantify that. And it's a luxury and doesn't add a value.
We just put in all new carpet.
Yeah.
Okay, these are maintenance items. These are things that you should be doing. It gives
we just
you no
repainted
value.
the house.
Yeah, no value.
Yeah.
It'll be sweeter for the buyer when they get to move in, and they will like the house more. But they're not going to give you the $10,000 you paid in carpet.
Right. That's why the house is priced at what it is. That's why it's going to sell quickly. It does not add value to the house. There's a couple of things like that.
Roof does add value.
Roof adds value.
Updated or upgraded kitchens, bathrooms adds value. But your common maintenance is not going to get you money.
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing though is so like, especially with bathrooms these days, right? Or kitchens, better cabinets, better countertops, better flooring, nice sink, all that's going to matter. If you spent $170 on the faucet, or $300 or $500 or $900, doesn't matter. It just needs to be an updated faucet.
Right,
or like,
right.
You ever been in the house that has like the diamond poles and stuff like that on like the cabinets, and they're like, those are $30 a piece. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. That does not add
Well,
a
on
value
top of that
to the
is
house.
we get back to what we started in the very beginning is what buyer's going to walk in and go, I love that. Maybe 99% are going to go, I got to change those out.
Yeah, like I have diamonds on my cabinet doors. Like this looks ridiculous.
So this is a question I've had sellers ask me. They're buying their house and they want to make some changes to fit what they like. And they're like, but will that help with resale? I go, how long are you staying there? I hope, in the next 5 to 10 years. Make the house what you want. Live in it. Enjoy it. Don't redo your house for the sale down the road. I think that, the mentality of, I just want to make sure it'll sell when I sell. But if you're going to live in it, enjoy it. Put diamond pools, put whatever you want into it. And
Well, it's so I deal with that with kitchens a lot when I talk to people. And they're like, should I put this kitchen in or this kitchen in? And then so I do that. I'd be like, all right, if you're going to live here for 8 years, right? So you're going to recoup, I don't know, we'll call it 50, 70%, whatever it is for that area of the remodel of the kitchen. All right, so like let's take this, extra $20,000 or $15,000, divide it by 8 years. Are you okay paying $50 extra a month that you will never see again to just have the kitchen that you want to have? Like at a certain point, it's just the tax of living in what you want to live in, and not everything is dollar for dollar recoup, and people have to know that. So,
yeah, never. Yeah, I don't know what would be. I can't imagine anything. I don't think I've ever learned that there's something out there you can do to your house that you will get 100% back when you do it.
Oh goodness.
Anybody have that answer? That would be awesome, because I really don't think there is anything.
There is
and
not.
then you get to, is there anything that's 75? Is there anything that's 50? Is there anything that's 40? And I think kitchens is
I can
the
think of one
closest
thing.
one.
If you build new construction and live in it for 7 years and don't touch anything, everything that was put into it is more than dollar for dollar because of appreciation, not because it was.
Yeah, appreciation.
But like a remodel or an update, like you're just not going to get it.
And Brad was talking about we're looking at maybe 3.5% this year. We had 6.5% last year. So appreciation is slowing down. Still happening, but slowing down. And that's one thing for you guys, if you're out there and you're just listening to us and you're thinking about being a seller, is call one of us and find out what your house is worth, because I know there's huge surprises to some people when they find out. We had 20% in 2021, 20% in 2022, 6.5% in 2023. You may not know what you're setting on in equity.
I just comped one last week, and I was like, so what do you think your house is worth? Because I always ask people that. I'm not going to lie to them, once I have the numbers. And it was worth $60,000 more than what they thought, just looking at, the websites or whatever you want to call it. But
yeah, I know a certain area here in Carmel that I know. I would almost guarantee every seller that lives in that area, that neighborhood, has no idea how much they've appreciated, because it's been over the 20%. And that is just one thing. I don't know how you can figure it out. They may look at the Zestimate, but the Zestimates are even low.
Yep, 100%.
I hate Zestimates, but that's what they look at.
I mean, for me, it helps because I have an idea. Like, all right, so this is probably what they think it's worth, and then I can explain why it's worth what it is, whether it be high or low, because it's also can be lower for the record. Right. I don't know. It's just all interesting. I mean, if somebody calls me, I'll do a analysis on their home for free in a heartbeat. It's
Yeah,
just not
yeah,
a big deal to
yeah.
me. I enjoy doing it. I get to see houses. It's just
It's investigative work to me. I love
yeah, it's
it.
practical
let me see.
exercise.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love it. I've got a couple of kooky ones that I've got to run pricing on, and one of them's like a ton of acreage with like a super unique house, and then I've got one, and the gentleman was like, "Oh, I bought it, and then I put $600,000 into it and updates," and I'm just sitting here like, "Man, it's not even worth 600." And I'm just like, I wish somebody would have called me before we started doing all this stuff. That's also a number that's probably been rounded up by like a whole zero or something,
But that's another thing that's really good, like you talk about. If you're thinking of doing, updates to your home or trying to figure out where the best money to put into the house,
call an agent.
Call an agent,
Yeah.
and if it's an agent you bought the house with or whatever, and have them come over and they may put the squash on some of the things you want to do. It's saying that is absolutely crazy, but I get back to if you want to live here and you want that teal tub that's going to be a jacuzzi with weird strobe lighting, and you want that, put it in.
Yeah.
But we're going to tell you it's not going to add value, and it might hurt the house because now somebody's never going to buy it because they think they have to tear all that out. So
yeah, it's just all type. I've got a buddy right now. He's doing it the right way. He wants to sell his house in 3 years, and he's like, "Hey, I want you to come over to my house, comp it, tell me where we need to put money into it, and I'll take over it the next couple of years, and then with we're going to be fine." The one I see a lot of people tend to spend a lot of money on with updates, and I get it. It does matter with what market you're in, like as far as like pricing, because you want to be similar to other stuff. Those new bathtubs that everybody like kind of wants.
the sits are out in the middle of the room.
Yeah, first of all, they don't even look comfortable to sit in. I'll be honest, they just don't. It looks like it's just going to hurt my neck, but nobody uses them. Like maybe 1 out of like 30 people use them. Everybody like romanticizes that they're going to use it. And those tubs are not cheap.
They take up a lot of space in the bathroom,
They take up a lot of space. You have to clear up free space so it doesn't like it actually looks freestanding instead of like shoehorned in there. That one I've always thought they look beautiful. We have a house with a bathtub in our primary bathroom. We did not want to put it in there. The builder was like, "Oh, you need to for resale." This is before I was in real estate. Man, I think that bathtub has been used once by my wife, and our children used it probably a handful of times, which for the record, there's one in their bathroom that they could have used.
Right. That's where the kids want to
I just wish I would have got a bigger shower or something, or open space.
Have you
and put
ever
laundry
been
in there.
into somebody's house when they're first starting to talk to you, and that is a storage space?
Yeah.
Like they literally have their tub, their towels are in there. They've started just using it as a closet. I've seen that so many times.
I feel like that's a shot fired at me currently.
Oh, is that what you're doing? I've never been there.
Okay. There's not a lot there, but there's for sure like 1 to 2 shirts, a towel, and then kids' toys for some reason. Like that's just like
it's a big open space. Might as well use it if you need it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just always interesting, and I get it. We see it on TV. It looks really pretty, and it looks cute. I mean, I get it. I mean, I think it looks really neat. I don't know. I'm just not a bathtub guy, and I think people overestimate how often they're going to take a bath.
I can't imagine what buyer I've ever had that has told me
bought a house because of a bathtub.
That the guy said, "I really want a bathtub," or "I really want that kind of a bathtub," or "I really want a jacuzzi tub." It's always the woman, and I'm not trying to be sexist or anything, but I have never had a guy offer, "I want to make an offer on a house because of the tub." Or the lack of a tub.
No.
But I have had women because of the lack of the tub or whatever.
I agree with that. But I always have a conversation. I was like, man, I get it. Like everybody wants to be like, I'm going to come back. I'm going to take a bubble bath. I'm going to unwind for the day. I'm going to drink a glass of wine. All these things that you think that you can do and you see on TV. Man, I got 2 kids. I don't know what you're talking about where you think you got free time and relaxing time to just sit there without somebody beating on a door. Like, whether it be my wife or me, like, that's just not a reality I live in.
I do know that
we collapse at night. We do not soak at night.
My big tub at our main house the kids grew up in was a big jacuzzi tub.
Throw them all in there together. Let's go.
They had so much fun. I have
tiny swimming pool.
It is.
Yeah.
If you have small kids, sometimes it is a great thing. But like you said, it's the one in the hall.
Yeah.
But my primary bathtub was where the kids literally all got in there, had their toys, and turned the jets on and had a blast. So it just depends. But yeah.
Anyways, I don't know how I got off on that tangent.
How did we get on that tangent?
Because we were just talking about like what is needed in a remodel and stuff. And those tubs are just not cheap and stuff. And I don't know. I just see a lot of very interesting things done. And I'm just like, did they talk to an agent? Because a lot of times I feel like they saw it on TV. They're like, I want this. That's what people want because they see it on television or Pinterest or Instagram or whatever the socials is.
They also have
but
to
it's
think
not
about
real application of daily living of when people actually something that is visually appealing is not necessarily something that will move the meter on purchasing.
It also, wherever they're seeing this TV show, where it's being filmed, Canada, wherever, it may not be an Indianapolis thing. So, like, we still have
like
people,
Miami. I see, like,
yeah,
I've
Miami,
seen some floor-to-ceiling
LA.
marble in Indy, and I'm like, it looks like it's in Miami, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Or, like the Florida homes that are completely tile everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm like, no, I don't want that. But that's the other thing, is being very careful of where you're seeing this TV show or where they're being filmed, because we aren't going to do that. It gets back to call your agent. They should be very up-to-date with what is good today for you to do as a rehab or a remodel.
Yeah. I don't know. Just interesting insights on as we're starting to get into, when there's going to be the selling season. And I'll be honest, if you're thinking about it, you need to start talking to an agent now, not in March. That's just the reality of it.
Absolutely.
If you're selling in April or May, I'd be talking to an agent now.
Well, and I guess to the scheduling of it is, if you have the traditional family home, if you want to list, you need to be listing by April at the latest, in my opinion, because now you have to have buyers who are trying to get in before the school season. And I hate to be already talking about the 1st of August, but that usually means they want to be in that home and settled by mid-July.
Yep.
And if we're looking at 30 to 40, 50 days on market, that's April, May, June.
Plus a 30-day closing.
Yes. So April for an August move-in is not wrong. It's exactly where the timeline is.
If you got under contract today, you could potentially have a March 1st closing right now. Right? Because
at the earliest,
February is
Today's
shorter month.
The last day of the month.
I
We're
know.
already going to February.
Yeah, but we got
Today isn't tomorrow.
We got leap day in February. So
I know, I saw that.
Yeah. I knew a girl when I was growing up, and she's born on leap day. I always thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah, they're when they're supposed to be 16, they're only 4.
They're 4. Yeah. I bet you've never heard that joke before. Anyways, all right, let's get into the stats. Okay, so I'll do mine real quick because I know you got some interesting stuff over there for you as well. So for Fishers, I had 22 go on the market, anywhere from $260 to, I love this number, $999,900, like just 100 under a mil. Because psychologically,
don't want to hit that mill.
Yeah, that extra comma looks like a lot, and it does. I'll be honest. I mean, that is a thing. So,
and people hit the search parameters.
Yeah.
They may stop their search at the in the 900s or whatever, but anybody who's searching at $1 million and above, that house is gonna.
I would have put it at $1 million just because people aren't going to stop at 990. They're going to put it to $1 million.
And then you
I would
can
have hit both
buyer
markets
pool.
personally, but.
Yeah.
Nothing against that. I mean, it could have been a price reduction. I actually didn't dive super into that property in particular, but 9 of those 22 are still active. 13 pended. So 13 pended within 7 days, though. So 31 actually pended.
Wow.
Fishers moved a lot of houses last week, so I had -9 inventory. There's 105 on the market with a 32 average days on market. Median is a little bit over 2 weeks at 16 days, and then
that's come down. Then that's come down.
That has come down. The one thing I did notice specifically in Fishers, of those 31 pended, 8 of those were new construction, and so new construction is also having a significant uptick as well. That's the first time in a couple of weeks where I've just had after I saw like 3, I was like, whoa, I'm gonna go back and count these because there's a lot right here. Noblesville had 18 go on the market, anywhere from 219 to 675. 14 are still active, so 4 of them pended, but 24 actually pended, right? That had been sitting stagnant, et cetera, within that. So we cleaned up a lot of the old inventory with that one in particular, and at the same time got a negative inventory as a result by 6. So we have 101 on the market, average days on market's 46, and the median is 13. So right around 2 weeks, I would say, for both of those. And then 5 were new construction as well, which was a lower number, but I had looked at it for Fisher, so I wanted to see how it compared relative. But I mean, I know some of these areas, Westfield that you're going to talk about, new construction is through the roof. McCoursville, it's through the roof. I mean, there's just so much new construction. And my personal opinion is new construction tends to be ahead of the curve with the market.
There was I heard this stat, and I can't remember the builder now that I'm starting to talk about it, but they did 2,200 homes last year here in the Indy area.
It's a decent amount.
Yeah, but they're going to be doing, they say, 2,400. So we're not slowing down. We're
insane.
at all. And Westfield,
200 a
more.
month. That's 200 a month. What
Yeah.
is that? I mean, that's like 7 a day almost, just a little bit under that. That's
yeah,
insane.
in all of the whole market, wherever their neighborhoods are. But
Yeah.
but they're saying they're going to be selling more this year than last year, and to me, that's, I mean, it's already a lot. So
I'll be interested to see what kind of incentives they offer out as we get into the selling season. Will they be doing 2-1s? Will they be doing, back in the day when you used to get a finished basement for free and stuff like that, or a carriage garage for free? I'll see what they do to be competitive. It'll be interesting because we're not there right now. They're just messing with price. You can get new construction kind of undervalued right now, but once it gets into the selling market, I'll be curious to see how they compete.
Well, what I see, so I'll do my stats, but like doing the list to sale ratio and where it's going is, I'll start with Westfield just for that reason, is there are currently active in Westfield 223 homes, but 134 of those are new builds. So 60% of the homes still in Westfield are new builds. So if we look at the solds in the past 30 days in Westfield, it was 79. Now, in that 79, I did put exactly how many were new builds, but there were new builds in there. We're still at 98% list to sale ratio. So builders
It'd be
are...
too many to count. It would take you 20 minutes.
But builders are also negotiable a little bit on the price. They're not, so you've still got that. You have the incentives usually for a lower interest rate. You have all the warranties and stuff like that. So, but the average days on market for the past 30 days in Westfield was 47 and the median was 33. So the median's coming down. There were 21 that hit the market in the past 7 days in Westfield. 5 of those particular homes sold, but 25 sold. So we have -4 inventory in Westfield. And in the past 7 days, the average days on market was 50 and the median was 37. So we're staying the same as the past 30 days. In Carmel, 25 hit the market. 10 of those pended, which was almost 50% of the houses that hit the market. But 24 total pended in the past 7 days, so eating up some past inventory. So only had a +1 in inventory there. The average days on market in Carmel in the past 7 days was 20, and the median was 8. Carmel is seeing a big change in their days on market. Last 30 days, and the ones that are active, the current actives, 150, 38 are new builds, so we have 110 resales. The amount sold in the past 30 days was 67. List to sale ratio was 97. We've stayed at 97 for like the past 2 months.
Yeah.
Days on market were past 30 days 23. Median was 10. That's half of just even last week and the whole December. January, we
were
seeing
pushing
50,
close to 60.
50,
Yeah.
60s. Now it's 23 and 10. So Carmel's really speeding up on the days on market. And then Zionsville, only 3 hit the market. They all pended. So no inventory gain there. Average days in Zionsville in the past 7 days was 9. 9, average 7 was the median, so that was those 3. So very low days on market in Zionsville. Currently active, there's 53. 45% of those are new builds at 21. Sold in the past 30 days was 22, 97% list to sale ratio. But the past 30 days, the average was 44 and median was 33. So both Westfield and Zionsville are not seeing the past 30 days of a change. Carmel's really seeing a difference.
Oh.
So
And what will happen as it impacts Carmel, people will expand their searches, which will then begin to impact Westfield, Zionsville. Fishers is already, you got Fishers and Carmel, which has really started to heat up. They're just going to be ahead of the curve, right? That's the top 2 desirable places right now. But what happens is people can't get them in there or whatever, and so they start to expand a little bit. And so then Westfield, Zionsville, Noblesville, they start to...
Yeah. They all kind of run together if somebody's coming in, especially from out of town.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of mention all of them.
Yeah, 100%. Zionsville's like the slight outlier, because it's Boone instead of Hamilton County, but the town itself is just so unique and beautiful.
I love Zionsville.
Noblesville, I love for its small town feel, even though it's gotten pretty big. And Zionsville makes Noblesville looked like a metropolis, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Zionsville's just
Zionsville's kept its
sleepy.
quaintness.
Oh my gosh,
Absolutely.
it's amazing.
I grew up there. I love
Yeah.
Zionsville very much, and
I do too.
the little downtown area. So, anybody moving here from out of state really needs to pick the brain of the agent to truly find out what are the differences. Every single one of these towns we talk about have a totally different vibe.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
And they're all unique in their own way, and they're all just amazing places to live. I mean, out in McCordsville, Brownsburg. There's Greenfield, like all these places. I'm just in them so often. Cicero. I love Cicero. I always tell people, they're like, oh, I want to go to Cicero. Like I would, when my kids have moved out, I would like to go to Cicero because Cicero reminds me of like late 80s movie. Because you've got like the pizza place, you've got like the barbecue place, you've got the Italian place, you've got the ice cream place, you got the lake, you got the lake house, and then you got people driving around on golf carts. Like it's just amazing. It's like I just feel like it's an 80s.
They're all
movie.
different, every single town,
Love
and
it.
it's like wherever you're moving from. So like if you're coming from this type of a town, literally pick the brain of your agent and say, here's what we have, and we could probably go Cicero, Zionsville, Noblesville. This is going to be a replication of what you're coming from.
Yeah.
And that would be the most important thing, I think, if you want to feel real comfortable.
I like Tipton.
Yeah. You're moving forward, moving up, moving north. But, in today's world, we can do work at home, whatever. But those are the stats looking like we are picking up like we thought we would be, and it's only January.
Yep. So I don't know. For anybody out there, if you're listening, I know we have a lot of agents, blah, blah, blah. Agents, like, talk to people and start letting, like, hey, if you're thinking about something this spring, we need to be talking now. It will help, like inventory, because inventory is our biggest problem. And the problem with inventory is sometimes we don't know it's coming on the market until like 3 weeks later. But I think if everybody just did that stuff, even when you talk to your sellers, they would be more assured, because the problem you have with talking to a seller is they also need a place to go. And if there's nowhere out there to go because they're worried about that, it prevents them from selling, and rightfully so. I would never want to put somebody.
And there
in
are
a
ways
house
to
that
sell
they don't
without
want.
buying, or however that goes. As a seller, we have ways to help you get into a new home without being homeless, I always say, but
100%.
just different ways to go.
Yeah.
But if you, please do like and subscribe below. But also, if you have ideas to what to do on the show, we've had some people reach out and say they'd love to be on the show and explain what they do in the housing market. So please do that, because we would love to talk to you and help us understand.
We've got guests coming on. We've got mayors.
Mayor Sue Finkham, who's coming into office, is next week. We have Critter Control coming on. They reached out and was very interesting. Just a short bit, I got to talk to them about what they say that they have happening in regards to homes, even new homes. So can't wait to talk to them.
Biggest headache is bats. If you get bats, it's a whole thing. We could do a whole podcast just on bats. Oh my gosh. Well, they're like protected. It's super expensive. You have to get them out a certain.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my
Critter
gosh.
Control will be interesting. Obviously, Mayor Finkham is going to be very interesting to see what her thoughts are on her new reign here in Carmel. But anyway, thanks so much for joining us. Please reach out if you have any questions or have some ideas for the show. We'd love to have you. I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realty Group in FC Tucker. My phone number is 317-201-2601.
And I'm Kyle Morris with Morris Property Group in FC Tucker. My number is 317-649-5122.
Thanks. Have a great week.
Bye.